right. So, I have played through this game about 6 times, and I did eventually find the save location, which I'll actually put on screen if anyone needs or wants it. However, with the amount of times I've replayed through this game, and the amount that has kind of soured this game just a little bit, I will still say, I would probably rank this game, at least among the X series, I would probably rank this game as probably being tied for the best Mega Man X game. This game is still incredible. And to be honest, I don't actually mind the amount of times I've had to replay through it. Yes, it has kind of soured it just a little bit, but it's not like the worst thing ever. Anyway, to change things up this time, because I do still have reshade on, I'm actually going to turn this in-game CRT filter off, and I'm going to see just how this reshade thing stands on its own, just to, change things up. And then I'm going to turn skippable dialogue off, because one of the times that I recorded through this, I just got so used to skipping and mashing that button that the moment that new dialogue came up, I kind of just skipped through it and didn't realize what I did until like halfway through the boss fight. So, yeah. Anyway, this is actually like one of my favorite parts in any Mega Man game. I think specifically like the X games, just because of how, I guess, kind of just how like they're presented and how they flow. But after you've taken down all of the other bosses, whether or not you have all of the armor and, upgrades and stuff, there's something about this final path, this kind of weird moment of finality, or at least, the beginning of the end, that carries a really weird weight to it. And maybe it's just me being weird. I'm actually more than capable of being able to admit that. But it's kind of a nice feeling that I feel like the Zero, XZ, and Legends series didn't quite have. At least, not in the same way. They actually kind of had, like, their own unique version of it that kind of, made them stand out a little bit. Actually, wait a minute. Okay, yeah. Again, basically, this is the reshade filter that I built to work alongside the in-game CRT filter. And it really just kind of limits the color range a little bit. That's basically all it really does. Kind of adds maybe a little bit of like I guess just a little bit of a bloom to some of like, the really contrasting things. Actually, wait a minute, what am I doing? I can just turn this into an absolute bullet hell. Or I should say bullet hell for them. Again, with the amount of times I've played through this at this point, or I guess the amount of times I've beaten it, can I fall? No, I can't. That would have actually been kind of cool if we could, though. The amount of times I've actually gone through this game at this point, obviously nothing here is going to be new to me, but if I find something different to try, I'm just going to go for it. There's kind of like absolutely zero penalty for death at this point, so yeah. Actually, you know what? Oh, damn. Ooh, I can get him to laser him and the guys behind him, though. Oh. Alright, well, you know what? We're just gonna resort to my favorite move, which I did actually figure out that we can actually, like, do, like, a downward attack with that, which I actually think is really, really cool. I had actually been trying to do that for a very, very long time, and I don't think it was until like the 5th playthrough that I finally realized how to do it. And, here's the remarkable part. You just press down. That's it. Yeah, it's not even like it's that complicated. I just was kind of not managing to do exactly just that. So, yeah. God, again, just because of the added mobility and like that whole utility for this, I do really love this ability. I mean, at this point, I'm not even sure what I've said and what I haven't, just because of the amount of, yeah, I guess times I've recorded this and have just lost everything and stuff. But I think that might actually be my favorite thing about this game. Is kind of just, like, the abilities and all the extra utility they add to the game. And I know you could argue that, like, you know, basically everything was in the original X8 as well. But, I don't know, there's something just about, like, the way that the game actually feels in this that X8 just didn't quite have down. And, I don't know, I think I'm kind of just a bit of a stickler for, like, control schemes. So, yeah. Ooh. Actually, you know what? There is a thing up here that I'm actually really, really curious about. Is there any way I can kill this guy from up here? Because I really don't want to go back down there. I don't think there is, but I'm about to do something incredibly stupid. So, instead of going the safe way up that way, I want to see if I can go this way. Because every time I've looked at this and oh, I didn't even need the fire. Okay, well, that was a lot less exciting than I was expecting it to be in my head, but, you know, whatever. Actually, that is another thing I really, really like about this game, or I should say, this game's interpretation of this, like, final level, is... Actually, wait a minute, can I? Oh my god, I can just leave it behind, can't I? Wait a minute, does that mean there's just gonna be a big hole in the ground there? Oh no, oh. Alright, well, the moment this begins, I think I'm gonna take contact damage. So, that's cool. But yeah, the thing that this stage actually does incredibly well, I'd maybe say probably does better than any of the actual official games, is in this final area, it's kind of designed or laid out in such a way that it really inspires you to try out all of your abilities. And more specifically, use the ones that you like, rather than just, you know, being forced into using any one in particular, even if I did mostly just use the fire. But I feel like that's something that I think the only other game I can think of off the top of my head that has done even remotely as good as this game has actually presented it was probably the original X1. Or, you know, Mega Man X, whatever. And I guess maybe Mega Man 6. That one also did a really good job letting you navigate the train how you wanted to. But I feel like it's something that a lot more games, or I guess a lot more Mega Man games, should have done. Or I guess, you know, because it's always a possibility, should do in the future. But yeah. Anyway. You're struggling awfully hard for a world that's doomed. So, it was Sigma pulling the strings the whole time, wasn't it, Vile? Are you starting to finally piece it together, X? The orbital elevator, the energy, the space minerals, the rocket data. The route to space. The thing that's allowed this world to survive this long. It is ours. At times like this, how important is your precious term, Maverick? I don't care what you plan to do. I'll put a stop to it, no matter what. Hell yeah. Again, some of the dialogue is kind of a little... I don't want to say plain, but... it feels like it's kind of just a little... I don't know. Oh god, wait, we have this. Okay, actually, hang on. I need to focus really hard for this. Ooh. Okay. Because this thing starts moving so fast that, like, we can't actually... Oh! Okay, we're good. I'm actually amazed I did that without taking any damage. I don't think I was able to do that in any of the other runs that I did, or I guess that move specifically. I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, I feel like a lot of the dialogue in this game, while it's nowhere near as bad as like from X5 onward, I feel like a lot of it's still there just for the sake of having dialogue. It was something that the first 3 X games, I think, did really, really well. Also, that background. I kind of love, like, the saturation. Or, I guess, the... It's technically not saturation. It's... Oh, God, what's it called? It's basically just a mix of contrast with a much more limited color palette, or I guess color range. But it kind of gives the same effect as, like, being, or I guess having a bit more saturation. But I really like how it looks like with all of the stars and the space and the planet behind the, I guess the elevator. Anyway, what was I saying? My brain is kind of just completely melted at the moment. Oh yeah, dialogue. I feel like the first 3 X games, they kept it... I guess they kept the dialogue kind of potent. As in, when there was dialogue, it meant something. There wasn't just a bunch of stuff thrown in there for, like, you know, filling time. Which, admittedly, X4 did kind of start to dive into. But because of its presentation, it was kind of a lot more forgivable. And again, because this game is just basically a retelling of X8 with like the Super Nintendo visual style and gameplay. It's no fault of the game. It's really just, you know, a problem with the original when it comes to just lots of dialogue for the sake of having dialogue. But this game does kind of help tone it down rather significantly, which is always nice.